So now let us get into some more definitions. Now we have the random samples. Now suppose if we define a random variable based on these random samples, that is what we call it as a statistic. Random variable means in the sense it may be a mean. Okay, random variable is a function, but a function which a random variable means a function which defines on the random sample. For every random sample, we are going to assign a scalar value. Okay, that is what we call it as a statistic. For example, if we have a big population, very big population, and for the entire population, we are not going to work. What you can do, you can divide the population into some, you can take some random samples from the population, maybe finite number of samples or infinite number of samples, that depends on the constraint and the limitations. Now for each sample we can assign, we can evaluate what is the parameter that is required for the entire population. Suppose if you want to evaluate the mean of the entire population, then what you will do, you will take one sample and you will evaluate the mean, and you will take another sample and again you will evaluate the mean, another sample, evaluate the mean, another sample, evaluate. Okay, so basically what you are doing, for every random sample you are assigning a scalar value. You are evaluating the parameter which is required for to conclude about the big population. Okay, so that is what the main idea of choosing random samples is, to get the information about the unknown population parameters. Population parameters, generally what are the statistical parameters? The minimum thing is the mean and the variance. And of course, other than this one, there are some other things that are also there, like median, mode, standard deviation. Okay. So the basic idea of the random samples is to obtain the unknown parameters of the population, statistical parameters. So an example also given to you here. For example, if you see here, you see this one. Suppose we wish to arrive at a conclusion concerning the proportion of coffee drinkers in the United States who prefer a certain brand of coffee, who prefer a certain kind of coffee. Okay, so obviously there will be many coffee shops will be there. Practically, or maybe because of some limitations, going to every coffee shop and getting the data, that is an impractical thing. Practically possible when you have infinite resources. Okay, but we do have our restrictions, limitations are there. Like time. If I ask you with the data within 2 days, it is an impossible thing, right? So impossible to question every coffee drinking American in order to compute the value of the parameter P representing the population proportion. Okay. So instead, what we are going to take, so that is the practical difficulty. This is the practical difficulty, right? So instead, what we are going to do, instead, a large random sample is selected and the proportion P of people in this sample favoring certain brand of coffee, whatever it is asked for, the data has been obtained. Okay. So a large group of people selected at random. Okay. And the data has been taken. Which one prefers what brand? Okay. So the data has been, so once the data is ready, so now the question is about whatever the brand it is. Okay. The parameter, the proportion P. So suppose if out of 100 people, suppose if 35 are preferring the brand of certain coffee. Okay. So we will say that in this sample, the proportion or the probability to use such a particular brand of coffee is 35 upon 100. That is the proportion, right? Now what we are going to do, this is the P prime. P prime means that represents the proportion in the sample, a random sample. Okay. Now, same question is been answered in a random sample, but the actual question is it is about the entire population of the United States, right? So now what we are going to conclude here, whatever the proportion it is there in the large random sample, we will conclude that the same proportion for the large population also, the same proportion happens. Now, what is this P prime? P prime is actually becoming a function of the observed values in the random sample. But how many random samples you can select from a large population? From a large population, how many random samples that you can select? Suppose if I ask you, you will come up with one sample, one set of people, and if I ask some another one, he may come up with some another set of people, right? So assuming that the first sample and the second, let me represent with the first sample and the second sample. The first sample mean is some, or the proportion is some 35 by 100, and the second sample proportion is 30 by 100. Then which one you will give? Which one you will say that the large population has the same proportion? That is, it is explained here. Since many random samples are possible from a same population, you would expect whatever the sample here it is, okay, it is P prime, okay. To vary somewhat from sample to sample, of course, it's practically it is very much possible, right? For example, you take this one. This is the large population, and in which initially we have started with some sample 1, and there is another sample, and this is another sample. It is not only like that. There may be, this may be a sample 4, right? So in this case, suppose assume that in this sample the proportion is P1. In this sample the proportion is P2. In this sample the proportion is P3, and in this sample the proportion is P4. Okay. Now, which one we will assign to the large population, the complete population of the country? Whether shall we give P1 or P2 or P3 or P4? Which one? Any idea? What should be the feasible and logically correct answer, correct value? Any ideas from the class? Yes, Sharon, that's your right. We should assign when we have infinite number of finite number of samples. Okay, so P1, P2, P3, P4. So what we are going to do, P1 plus P2 plus P3 plus P4 by 4. The mean of P, that is what we are representing, the P. Okay. So this case is there, this case happens when there is a possibility, it is not when there is a possibility, when we have different more than one sample from a population, in that case what we are going to do, we are going to take the mean of their parameters and then we will assign that to the big population. Okay, now okay, now yeah, so what do you understand what is a statistic means now? You understand what is a statistic means? The statistic means any function of the random variables. For example, what is the random variable here? Initial random variable is what is the proportion? The proportion of the samples. Okay. Now, any function of the random variable. Suppose in this case, it is P1, in this case, it is P2, in this case, it is P3, and in this case, P4. Okay. That is what we call the statistic. Now, so it is acting like a probability density function on the samples. When we have a probability density function, obviously there is something called probability distributive function, cumulative distribution function. That is what we call the sampling distribution. What we call the sampling distribution. Okay. Now, probability distribution of a statistic is called a sampling distribution. Let me give you an example now. One more example. That is the previously one, the parameter here, the random variable is the proportion. Now let us give one more example. Let me give you one more example here. Let us do let us consider there is a population and there is a random variable, the mean, the random variable, and that follows on this population, that follows the normal distribution with the mean mu and the variance sigma square. With the mean mu and the variance sigma square. Okay. Now, what we are going to consider here, let's consider one sample, another sample, some finite number of samples, assume that you have considered. Let me represent with the sample 1, sample 2, sample 3, and on the sample. Yeah. Okay. When you are considering a random samples, there is something called the size of the sample, and in this case, what you are considering, every time we are considering for any random sample, we are restricting the sample size to be n. The size of the sample is fixed, that is n. Okay. Suppose that the x1 represents, x1 is a random variable which gives us the mean of the sample 1. x1 is a random variable that actually gives us the mean of the sample 1 or mean of this what is called this sample of size n. And x2, x3 and so on xn. Okay. For each case we are evaluating them. But in each case, what should be the preferable, what will be the mean? These are the samples from the population with the mean mu and the variance sigma square. With the sigma square. So the expected value of x1, expected value of x2, expected value of x3 and expected value of x1, all of them are equal to mu. Right? And now the sampling distribution is what is actually, it is the generally what we will give the statistic. It is the average of, it is the average of these many random variables. But remember here, every time we are considering the random sample of size n, that is fixed. Now, what about the, here it is expected value of x1 is equal to expected value of x2 is equal to expected value of x3 is equal to expected value of x, that is equal to mu. Now, what will happen to the expected value of x bar? Expected value of x bar will be expected value of this entire thing. So that is nothing but 1 by n times summation I runs from 1 to n expected value of xi. That is 1 by n times n into mu. So that is mu. That is mu. And what about the variance? So the variance of x1 is equal to variance of x2 is equal to and so on. Variance of xn also is equal to sigma square. Okay. Now, what is the variance of the sampling distribution x bar? Variance of the sampling distribution, that is what we call x bar. What is this one? It will be x bar is defined like this. So what is the variance of x bar? Variance of x bar will be 1 by n square times summation I runs from 1 to n variance of xi. Right? So it is 1 by n square times variance of xi will be n times sigma square. Variance of each xi is sigma square. N are there, so n into sigma square. So it is something called sigma square upon n. So this is what? This is the variance of x bar. Obviously, what is the standard deviation of x bar? Standard deviation of x bar is the positive square root of variance of x bar. So that is given by sigma upon root n. That is given by sigma upon root n. Now, as you can see it here, What actually the as n is tending to infinity, n is tending to infinity means when we consider the sample size very bigger, large, then what is going to happen? The variance of the x bar will be tends to 0. The variance is tends to 0. What is the variance? Variance actually gives the deviation in the samples. The deviation in the samples. Remember that. What is the variance of x bar? It is not the variance of x bar means it actually gives the deviation of the variances in the deviations of the expected values of the samples. Okay. Then obviously, when the samples are bigger in size, then what should happen? The deviation should be negligible. Okay, the deviation between the deviation of the parameters of the sample should be negligible. Okay. Now, okay, everything is fine. That initially we have started with a normal population with the mean mu and the variance sigma square. And from there, we have collected a number of samples of each size fixed n. Okay, and then we have something called the sampling distribution. The sampling distribution, any function of the random variable. Remember, any function of the random variable. That is a statistic, and the probability distribution function is called the sampling distribution. Okay. So now the expected value of this, the sampling distribution x bar, is same as the mean mu of the population, and the variance of the x bar is given by the variance of the population upon n, where n is the size of the each sample. Okay. Now, since it is also a probability density function. It is also a probability density function defined on the samples. Now, what about the corresponding distribution? What about the corresponding distribution? What will happen to the corresponding distribution? Whether they will follow something, any standard distribution? Okay, that is what is answered by the central limit theorem. The central limit theorem says if x bar is the mean of the random sample of size n taken from the population with the mean mu and finite variance sigma square, it is sigma square. Then the limiting form of the distribution of that is z, that is given by the x bar upon x bar minus mu upon the standard deviation of the sampling distribution, that is sigma upon root n. Sigma upon root n as n tends to infinity. The limiting form of the distribution as n tends to infinity. Remember that. What will happen to this? What will happen to this new random variable? The new random variable z. Random variable means it is a statistic. Okay, but statistic is a random variable. Remember that. Statistic is a random variable. Random variable on what? On the samples. Okay. So what will happen to this new statistic? Its probability density function will have the standard normal distribution. That means it follows the normal distribution with mean 0 and the variance 1. 0 and the variance 1. If you remember, any random variable x, just to recall, suppose if x is any normal variable with the mean mu and sigma square, then x can be transformed to a standard normal variable by means of the transformation z is equal to x minus mu upon sigma. This will follow the this will be standard normal distribution. This will have the standard normal distribution with the mean 0 and the variance 1. Okay. So even if you here also you can consider, you can see the construction of this z, the statistic, a new statistic z, okay, given by the statistic x bar minus its mean. What is the mean of this x bar? That is same mu only upon what is the standard deviation of this x bar? That is sigma upon root n. Sigma upon root n. Okay. As n tends to infinity, what will happen? This new statistic z follows the normal distribution, standard normal distribution. Okay, and hence the mean of z will be 0 and the variance is 1. Okay, this is given by the central limit theorem. We are not getting into the proof of this one. Okay. Now, let us do a problem based on this central limit theorem. Okay, see this example. So basically now we have something, a manufacturing company manufactures certain kind of tube lights, light bulbs that have a length of a life that is approximately normally distributed. Approximately normally distributed with the mean equal to 800 hours and the standard deviation of 40 hours. Okay, and good. Now find the probability that a random sample of 16 bulbs will have an average life of less than 775 hours. 775 hours. So now what is here the random, what is the statistic, what is the random variable, okay, and what is its mean? So everything we should understand. Okay. As you can see, the length of a life that is approximately normally distributed with the mean 800 hours and the standard deviation 40 hours. Now what is here our x bar? What is here our x bar? Any idea? Any idea? What is x bar here? What is the statistic here? Length of lifetime of light bulbs, tube lights. Okay. So it is given as this one follows normal distribution with the mean 800 and the variance 40. That is, mu x bar is given as 800 and sigma x bar square is given as 40. Sigma x bar is given as 40. Now, what it is asked, find the probability that a random sample of 16 bulbs will have an average life of less than 775 hours. Basically, what we need to evaluate, the probability that the length of the lifetime of a tube bulbs is less than 775 hours. This is what we need to evaluate. This is what we need to evaluate. Okay. But regarding this one, x bar, we do not have any idea. What is the probability density function? What is the probability mass function? Okay. Whether is it the normal distribution? No, it is an approximately normal distribution that is given here. Approximately normal distribution. Then, if this is the case, then what we need to evaluate? What we need to evaluate? So here, by probability density, by the central limit theorems, what central limit theorem says, define a statistic Z as x bar minus its mean upon so sigma x upon root n. Sigma x upon root n. Okay. I'm sorry, here it is. Here it is. Mu. Mu means it is the entire population, mean of the entire population, right? And the variance is given to be sigma square, so that is 40. Sigma square, that is 40. Okay. But here, if we look at here, what are the variance of this sample, the statistics x bar, that is sigma square upon n, where sigma square is the variance of the population. That is what it is given, right? The mean and the variance are given for the entire manufacturer. Okay. But even for the statistics here, the mean will remain the same, the samples, when you are considering the samples, and the variance will become sigma square upon n. So here, in this case, the variance of this x bar is sigma square upon n. N is what? 16. N is 16. Am I right? What is the variance here? Sigma square upon n. Yeah. Okay. Now, basically, we need to evaluate this one. What is the probability that the lifetime of a sample of 16 bulbs is less than 775 hours? It is not asked for one particular bulb. It is asked for 16 bulbs will have an average lifetime. Remember that. So a sample of 16 bulbs is taken. We are not calculating what is the probability that a light bulb will have 770 less than 775 hours. We are not discussing that one. We are taking a sample, and for this sample the size is 16 bulbs, and for each bulb will have a particular lifetime, and we are calculating that the average lifetime of this 16 bulbs is less than certain hours, certain time, that is 775 hours. Okay, so that is the reason we are considering here x bar instead of x. So majorly, while defining the x bar, we should be very clear. It is actually not length of lifetime of the light bulbs. It is actually average length of lifetime of light bulbs on a sample. Remember that. Average length of lifetime of a light bulbs in a sample. Okay. So this is what we are evaluating now. So x bar is less than 775 means, so z will be less than this will be less than 775 minus what is the mean of this x bar. Mean of this x bar is here 800 upon sigma x upon root n. Sigma x upon root n. So what is this one? What is the value of this one? I am missing something here. Yeah, that is. Yeah, sorry. Here it is. Look at here. It is not the variance. It is the standard deviation given to us. I thought it is variance of 40. It is a standard deviation. Standard deviation is 40. The sigma is 40. Right. Yeah, that is what I'm missing here. So here also the standard deviation will be what? In this case also. In this case, the variance is given as sigma upon root n. That is right. This is the standard deviation. Standard deviation of x bar. Standard deviation of x bar means this is the value. So it is sigma upon root n. It is sigma upon root n, right? So sigma upon root n is 10. So now what is this value? So minus 5 upon 10. Minus 5 upon 10 means no, 775 minus 800. So minus 25 upon 10. That is minus 2.5. So as we already know that this value is same as the probability of Z is less than minus 2.5. Is less than minus 2.5. So by property of the standard normal distribution, this is actually equal to, it is the probability of Z bigger than 2.5. Now it is equal to 1 by 2 minus probability of 0 is less than Z is less than 2.5. Right? I hope everyone remembers the standard normal distribution. This is 0. What we need to evaluate? We need to evaluate this quantity. So this is minus 2.5. Z is less than minus 2.5 because this is an even function. So whatever the area it is there, it is same as the area on the right hand side. Now we want to evaluate this one, which is actually nothing but 1 by 2 minus probability between this area 0 to 2.5. Why? Because the statistical table will give us only these values only. So 1 by 2 minus, what is the value from the statistical table? What is the value from the statistical table? Can anyone see that and tell me what is the value? Can anyone see the statistical value and give me the statistical tables? Yeah. So Z is 0 is less than 2.5. So that is 0. So Z is less than 2.5. 0.4938. 0.4938. So that is 0.4938. So that is 0.5 minus 0.4938. So the final value will be 0. Obviously 0, 0, 6, 2. So the probability of the average lifetime of a sample, what sample it is? Any sample, but with the size of 16 is less than 0.0062. Okay. So basically what we have evaluated, let me summarize through some diagrams. So assume that this is the manufacturing company of light bulbs, and the lifetime of these bulbs generally does not follow exactly normal distribution, but it is given approximately they will follow normal distribution with the mean mu and the sigma square. So that is given as follows the normal distribution with mean 800 and 40 square. 40 is the standard deviation. In the question, it is given as standard deviation, not the 40, not the variance. Okay. Okay, fine. Now, suppose if we know, suppose on the other case, suppose if we know it exactly follows the normal distribution like this one, and suppose if you take one bulb, suppose if you take just one bulb, and if I ask you what is the probability that what is the probability that a bulb will have the lifetime less than 775 hours? That is a different thing. Okay. So in this case, what we need to do in this case, again, it is given the lifetime of the bulbs follows the normal distribution. That is another case. Okay. So I'm talking about another case. This is the now present situation, the problem. Okay. This is supposed if the lifetime of the tube lights follows the normal distribution with the mean and the variance. And if the question is about what is the probability of that a bulb will have the lifetime of less than 775 hours, this is what we need to evaluate, and this is given by transforming the variable. What we will get, this is given by Z is less than 775 minus 800 upon the standard deviation. That's all. Okay. So this is a different question. When we are talking about one bulb. Now the question is not that one. Now the question is, what you are taking? You are taking a sample here. A sample of how many bulbs? 16 bulbs. Consider another sample of 16 bulbs. Another sample of 16 bulbs. So every time we are calculating the number of the size of the sample is 16 bulbs, 16 bulbs, 16. Now this is the 16 bulbs are there in this sample. In this 16 bulbs, now what happened now in the 16 bulbs? Now every bulb will have some lifetime. So you calculate all of them and get the average. So you will say that the average lifetime of the bulbs in this sample, that is what it is given, X bar. X bar is equal to 1 by n times x1 plus x2 plus and so on plus x. Yeah. Okay. So the average lifetime of the sample is, that is what we need to evaluate. So this will have certain average, this sample, and if you take this sample also, it will take certain average, and this sample also will take certain average, and this sample also. So X bar is a random variable. That is what we call the statistic. Statistic defined on the samples. Statistic is a random variable defined on the samples, not on the population. Okay, right. Now what we have evaluated, suppose if randomly, if you choose randomly, if someone comes and if randomly someone choose, yes, I would like to know what is the probability that this random sample, that in this sample of 16 bulbs, what is the probability that this sample, the lifetime of this sample is less than 770. This is what we have evaluated now. So this is a different question and this is a different question. Okay. Hope you understood. So while evaluating the problem, so you look, you consider it again. The population mean 800 is given, and the standard deviation of the population is given 40. So that is given mean of the population. Mu is 800 and sigma is 40, and it is also given approximately normally distributed. Okay, fine. Okay. Now we need to evaluate. Now we have defined what is X bar, the average length of lifetime of light bulbs in a sample, in particular sample of 16 bulbs. So every time we are collecting 16 bulbs and we are calling it as one sample. Okay. And the average lifetime of those 16 bulbs is less than 775. That is what we want to evaluate. Okay. So by central limit theorem, this can be evaluated because it is given the Z follows the X bar minus mu upon sigma upon root n. What is mu? It is the mean of the entire population. What is sigma? It is the standard deviation of the entire population. And what is n? The size of the sample. The size of the sample. Okay. So I hope you understood. If you have any doubts, you are most welcome. Now I am closing the section. Thank you all. If you have any doubts, you are most welcome.